But how much of a home field advantage is this for the Minnesota Twins?
Well, I tell you, Al, I can't really think of a team since the 1961 Yankees who have more of a home field advantage than the Minnesota Twins. They are 60-25 this year at the Metrodome. The one problem today is the matchup. They have Les Straker going against John Tudor, and consider Les Straker. He was 8-10 on the regular season. However, he did pitch very, very well against the Cardinals. The one thing to remember today is, I think, Al, that the Minnesota Twins are going to be playing this game today. Even though it's game 6, they'll be playing it like it's game 7, because after all, if they lose this ball game, they will be going home and have a long winter, and for that reason, I think Les Straker, if he's in trouble, will be removed early.
Might even see Reardon a little bit earlier, because as you say, if they don't win today, there is no tomorrow. Let me turn to Jim Palmer now. Let's talk about the fact the first 2 games, the Twins did what they've done so well successfully all season long, hit with power. Cardinals did their thing at home with speed. Now, do you necessarily feel the Twins would have the upper hand, the major advantage over these next 2 games, if there are 2 games?
Well, you never have a major advantage if you have to face John Tudor, but if you go back to the playoffs, they faced 2 guys from the Tigers, talking about the Twins here in Minneapolis. Doyle Alexander came in 9-0 in his last 11 starts. They beat him, and then Jack Morris had not lost in the Metrodome 8 times in a row, and yet they beat him. But the interesting thing to me about this World Series is, in the first 2 games, which were blowouts, 10-1 and 8-4, you never really heard much about the Cardinals' speed. Then they go to St. Louis, and what happens is they steal 8 bases, a 3-run inning, a 6-run inning, and another 3-run inning, and they come here leading.
So we are all set now for Game 6 of the 1987 World Series. Tudor and Straker at the Dome.
For the first winter ever, there's actually an antifreeze that will guarantee your radiator. The antifreeze, new Prestone Advanced Formula. Use it after using Prestone Super Flush. And should our protection fail, no matter which model car you have, we'll pay for your radiator repairs. New Prestone Advanced Formula. The antifreeze that guarantees your radiator.
Listen to the heartbeat of America. Listen to the heartbeat of America. Oh yeah.
It's the rhythm on the road. It's the pulse on the street.
Pulse on the street.
City and town, a magic sound.
Feel the heartbeat of America. Chevrolet.
That's today, Chevrolet.
I'm here for some straight talk about the stock market. It's important to everyone. It provides capital that creates jobs to make America grow. Emotions can run high during market turbulence, just when reason should prevail. We are confident in the markets. We've stayed active in them for all investors. America's economy is the strongest in the world with great ability to bounce back. At Merrill Lynch, we're still bullish on America.
I practically live out of a suitcase. So I always call 800-221-2222 and make the quality choice for great lodging anywhere. Oh, Quality Inns always gives me a big, comfortable room. The service is impeccable at Clarion Hotels. And Comfort Inn saved me lots of dollars. Franks. Wherever you go, just call 800-221-2222 and you're all set, unless your luggage gets lost. This isn't Pittsburgh, is it?
Thursday, the good guys make it happen.
First, me, Sledgehammer, handing out justice with a G. Then, it's the Charmings with comedy that'll knock your socks off. Then, he's bad. He's mad. He's the Clint with a glint in his magnum. Clint Eastwood.
Yeah, you could say that.
Whoa. The big guy goes over the edge in the network television premiere of Tightrope. And you thought there was nothing around to make your day. Thursday.
The Homer Hankies out in force, saluting the Minnesota Twins as they just took the field. And the lineup for the Cardinals, Coleman leading off. He came to the park with the flu. Smith bats second. Tommy Herr hitting third in the Cardinal lineup with Dreesen, the cleanup batter. And in the switch hitting, Willie McGee. Terry Pendleton is in the lineup today. He is the DH. Again, the DH in effect in the American League Park. Ford, Game 5 hero, bats seventh. Okendo, who moves around, plays third. And Tony Pena bats ninth in the lineup with Tudor, the pitcher. Now for Minnesota defensively, the outfield is Gladden, Puckett, and Brunansky. The infield, as usual, Gaetti, Gagne, Lombardozzi, and Herbeck. Tim Laudner is back of the plate, and Les Straker on the mound, who pitched very well the other night. And once again, let's get the inside pitch on Straker from the Milwaukee Brewers, Paul Molitor.
The important factor for Les Straker being effective is getting through those first few innings. He has a tendency early in the ball game to give up big innings. Now what happens is he'll get a few runners on base and get a little bit flustered. Now as a hitter, the advantage will swing in your direction. If you can just be patient in these situations, eventually he's going to give you a good pitch to hit in these run-scoring situations.
And the other night he pitched brilliantly, and Kelly will take that right to the bank. If you could tell Tom right now, and Reggie asked him the other night after the game, if he gets 6 innings, are you going to yank him again? And Tom said, absolutely.
And Paul Molitor said that he gets flustered in the early innings. Well, the other night he didn't have a chance to get flustered because Cardinal runners weren't on. But if they get on, if anybody can fluster you, the Cards can.
Well, especially the guy with the flu that can fly. And and we're talking about Coleman. He has 6 stolen bases, and as we said in the opening, the difference between this series is who has been able to get on in which ballpark. They weren't able to do it here. A lot of runs, and it doesn't matter.
Terry Tata of the National League is the plate umpire along with the rest of the crew. If we went to a 7th game, it would mean Dave Phillips, the first base umpire, who was the plate umpire in Game 1, would call him tomorrow. And Vince Coleman to lead things off. Coleman, Smith, and Herr.
Something happened just then that I have never seen. Vince Coleman came out and had the home plate umpire Terry Tata check the ball. I mean, for what reason? The ball hasn't been in play yet.
Well, I'll tell you what reason. A lot of times some umpires rub the ball more than others, and they all put the river mud on it, and some are much darker. So if you're a leadoff hitter, you want to know if it's too dark.
Crescendo builds for the first pitch of the game, and it's outside. And again, Coleman not feeling well, coming to the park and dragging. And so obviously a touch of the flu or under the weather, but still in the lineup in Game 6. Smith and Herr to follow. Takes a strike.
And speaking of dragging, a very good bunter. 44 infield hits, 14 bunts. You can see Gary Gaetti playing well in front of the bag at third, and that's what you have to do. He's still going to bunt, because if he bunts it to the right side, you can see how deep Lombardozzi is playing. He can beat the pitcher to the bag.
1-2. The crowd has picked right up where they left off last Sunday. I mean, they're in 9th inning form in the first inning.
Some of them, as a matter of fact, came out here, if you remember the other night, 29,000 strong. They paid $1 to get in. The money went to charity and made themselves a ball.
Well, this is the pitch that Whitey Herzog said is better than a major league average fastball. It's about 90 miles per hour in St. Louis. It looks even quicker here in the Dome, where the hitters say they don't pick up the ball as well.
So Coleman gone. Ozzie Smith 5 for 20 in the series. Smith 303 during the regular season, and once again a much better left-handed hitter. He batted .335 left-handed. That's out of play, and it's 1-1.
I was very impressed with the comments that Les Straker, not only impressed the way he pitched in Game 3, but he said, hey, this is another game. You say that, but I think he learned a lot from that, really his second postseason play, which was that third game, because he threw strikes. He found out what he had to do to be successful, and if he can do it today, he'll be successful again.
2-1 on Ozzie Smith. Straker, we told you about him the other night when he pitched in Game 3. 10 years in the minors. His wife helped keep him going and interested in baseball, and he finally got his shot this year. He's from Venezuela, 28 years old. To center field, Herbie Puckett is right there. 2 gone. He's going to face is empty, and Tommy Herr is the hitter.
Excuse me, Al. He's going to face 8 left-handed hitters. And the interesting thing is his stats are much better against right-handers. Right-handers gives up a home run once every 19 times at bat, but again, or excuse me, once every 35, but a left-hander's a little bit, I guess, more difficult for him to get out, even though he has a pretty good breaking ball and a good changeup. One home run every 19 times up.
Tommy Herr. He's really struggled in postseason. 0-1.
With the changeup we were talking about, and Tim, what you said in the pregame, they just have so much more confidence, is really, I guess, told in the way that they're Straker's numbers, 6 and 3 here at home, 2 and 7 on the road.
Well, it's said that the eyes are the windows of the soul, and if that's true, this guy's got a great set of eyes, I tell you, very relaxed. Saw him before the ball game and asked him how much rest he got last night. If he had rested, that is Les Straker. He said he got 10 hours of sleep. I said, how can you sleep for 10 hours before a game like this? He said, I'm honestly relaxed, and I really agree with you, Jim. I think the guy was just telling us that. I think he's relaxed. His eyes really denote that.
In the air to deep right field, and Brunansky looking up at this one, and gone. And so that stills the crowd in a big hurry. Tommy Herr. And had he been in the crowd, it had been a long time since Herr had driven in a run in a World Series game.
Only his 3rd home run of the year.
And you have to go back to 1982. Herr in the series in 82 and also in 85.
Well, to look on a slider, he threw a fastball by him, and then he does speed up his bat when he gets a slider in the middle of the plate.
Strike to Dan Dreesen. Another look here at Herr, who did not drive in a run in the 85 series and had not driven in one in 87. That's hit down to Herbeck, who shovels to Straker, and the Cardinals are done. But Herr hits a homer. Cards 1, Twins coming up.
Yes, Mrs. Ferber. I'll be right over.
What's up?
It's Alex. He's been burying things in Mrs. Ferber's garden again.
Right here. Alex, a bottle of Stroh's.
Keep digging.
Nice, Alex. 15-pack.
Keep digging.
With Stroh's and Stroh Light 15 and 30 packs, you get more beer.
How did he get a whole truck down there?
Why don't we ask the driver?
Listen to the heartbeat. Chevy S10 of America. This is our road, nothing stands in the way. This truck, this man, work or play.
When you want to go from freewheeling to 4x4 fun, Chevy S10 lets you do what Ford and Toyota can't. Shift and keep right on going with standard InstaTrack.
The heartbeat of America. Chevy S10 today's Chevy truck.
So the Twins. Latin leading off, and then Gagne bats second. Kirby Puckett in the 3 spot. He's looking to get hot. Gary Gaetti has 6 hits in the 6 games. The DH today is Don Baylor batting 5th. Then Tom Brunansky looking to get hot, as is Ken Herbeck, who sees yet another lefty. The number 8 hitter is the catcher Tim Laudner. And hitting 9th in the order is Steve Lombardozzi. And they'll be facing John Tudor, the winner in Game 3. And let's get the inside pitch on John from the San Diego Padres. Tony Gwynn, the National League batting champion.
John Tudor's real deliberate, so it appears that he's overpowering, but I think it's his windup that really lulls you to sleep. He's got great composure on the mound. Nothing ever rattles him. And when he's on, he's really tough to hit. You can't go up there and sit on one pitch. You've got to go up there and just try to get your bat on the ball. But if he doesn't have his good stuff, then he has a tendency to be wild high. But I think the reason why he's been so effective is the development of his changeup.
Defensively, Coleman, McGee, and Ford in right. The infield of Oquendo at third, then Smith, Purr, and Dreesen. Tony Pena does the catching for St. Louis. And John Tudor trying to clinch a championship. He leads 1-0 on a home run by Tommy Herr. And Dan Gladden, who is the only player to get a hit in all 5 World Series games thus far. Gladden to lead off, then Gagne and Puckett. It was Dan who started the World Series with the Grand Slam home run in Game 1 on Saturday night. And there's Les Straker, who set down the first 2, got a hit on Tommy Herr, and the next thing you know, it's in the upper deck. The reaction of Straker as Herr's shot left the park.
It's not the first time a pitcher will close his eyes after a home run.
That's grounded by Danny Dreesen. It's a fair ball and into the corner. Gladden has at least 2, and Ford has trouble, so Gladden is on his way to third, and he's in there.
Already we may see a different approach by the right-handed hitters of the Twins. Tudor going inside to Gladden, and Danny just fights it off. And you'll notice he does not pick up the third base coach. A base runner really doesn't need the third base coach that much. That's one instance that a runner may need the third base coach, but Gladden really uses his own. You see, he doesn't pick him up. He makes up his mind once he gets to second that he's going to third. Good play.
Cardinal infield with Smith and Herr back. Only Oquendo is up at third with nobody out. Gagne takes outside, ball 1. Gagne checking with Rennick, and he's saying, hit it, baby. No squeeze here.
Well, that's what Calvin Griffith, the former owner, said in the paper today. Just wait on Tudor and hit him in right field. So apparently they took him seriously.
Yeah.
A lot easier to talk about it than do it.
1-1.
Well, really, when you talk to the hitters, they said what they learned that Tudor threw so many changeups that, and also a lot of fastballs away, that he's very difficult to pull. So that's one of his strengths. One of your weaknesses as a hitter is that you try to pull him. You get out on that front foot, a lot of fly balls, and then you allow the ball inside to be more effective. Gladden went right with that and has standing on third base, nobody out.
And oddly, the first time a Cardinal pitcher has had to work out of a stretch in the first inning outside, even though I'm saying that in a figurative sense, with Tudor working from a windup, the graphic illustrating it. The first time the Twins have been a man on in the first in the entire series. Mike Rourke, the pitching coach, and Whitey Herzog. Waved at it, chased it. It would have been 3-1.
Well, this is the kind of park where you know you're going to give up some runs. What you want to do is limit them. Now, Gagne helps Tudor out by swinging the ball that's down and away. Tudor's strength against Gagne's weakness. But Tudor does not. He'll give up that run. You don't, and if you get the first guy out, then maybe you want to strike out the next batter. But you don't want to have a big inning and put your team out of it, especially when you're leading 3 games to 2.
2-2 pitch is a one-hopper to Herr. And he looks Gladden back and throws him out. Gladden was sort of frozen when the ball left the bat with the infield back. Gladden had to hesitate, and then by the time he decided he might come home, it was too late.
Yeah, that's because of the perception of looking at Tommy Herr. The ball hit right at it. You're reminded, if you're the runner at third and less than 2 out, to watch the line drive. That was a line drive fielded on 1 hop. You can certainly understand the plight of Dan Gladden on that particular play.
It's the kind of play where if he hits a 2-hopper, he comes home.
Right.
So despite the infield playing back, The ball hit on a line far enough that Gladden was frozen, and the Cardinals get pretty much a gift out in this situation without yielding the run. Puckett, the batter.
And all they've been doing to Kirby is pound him in. He's expanded the strike zone, has not really hit too many strikes, and he feels he can hit that pitch, but hasn't been able to do it.
That's grounded into left field to tie the game.
And the reason they've been pitching him inside is because of the 28 home runs. They feel they can tie him up. That time you can see Tudor shaking his head. He knows he made a mistake, gave him something out over the plate. Watch him reach for this ball. More or less right in the middle of the plate. Smith way up the middle, and you have a run.
One tie with one out, and Gary Gaetti, the batter. Puckett, good speed at first. Change low, 1-0.
The same thing holds truth in Game 3 as you take a look at Danny Gladden. Watch Tony Pena, the catcher. If Tudor is on today, he will be throwing the ball where Pena moves to. If he's not, he's going to be in trouble.
Puckett, 12 steals during the regular season, caught 7 times.
Well, down from 2 years ago and last year where he had around 20 steals, and that's because he hit third instead of leadoff, and you just don't run as much in front of Gaetti as Herbeck.
2-0.
You don't really run as much either when you have 28 home runs. You're not on to run enough.
Well, it's funny, he hit more home runs last year and had more stolen bases, but he's just changed his position. And Tom Kelly said, why do I want to get him thrown out with Herbeck sitting there with 34 home runs or Gaetti with 31?
This is not normally a hit-and-run situation with the count 2-0. You want a guy like Gaetti to choose one pitch, a small zone, and whack it. 2-1's a different story, but you do want a power hitter. If you're the manager, you want to give him one shot. Same with 3-1, not a good running situation, but 3-2, it's a different story.
Time called with Gaetti stepping out. A 1-1 tie in the bottom of the first inning. The crowd roaring already with Puckett at first base and Tudor working on Gaetti. 2-0.
What's it feel like to pitch here at the Metrodome? The comparison between Busch Stadium and here, you can't even see the fences from the pitching mound in Busch Stadium.
A little squibber toward third. Oquendo charges, throws on the run, got him. Down to second goes Puckett. 2 down on a bang-bang play at first base, and Don Baylor coming up.
What makes it, excuse me, Jimmy, what makes this play so difficult is where you're playing. You have to throw across from your body, but also he's playing well behind third base, and you can see it's very close. Nice pickup by Danny Dreesen.
Oquendo admittedly the other day said that it's tougher to play third base than it is shortstop. A lot of people would think the other way, but because he's so used to playing shortstop, he told me that he really didn't have enough time to position himself at third base.
I found something after Brooks Robinson retired. He never worried about where he played in the 18 years he was with the Orioles. The minute you get a younger third baseman, you're constantly moving him from a managerial standpoint.
Don Baylor takes a strike, 0-1.
I guess it could be said that you have to be quicker as a third baseman, but more wide-ranging as a shortstop.
Oquendo off the line at third, back of the bag for Baylor. who played in the World Series last year as well with Boston. 1-1. Postseason games with the DH in use, those would be the playoff games, and the two here, 7.4 a game. But in the 3 games without those 3 in St. Louis, 1.7. Lined into right field for a base hit. Rennick is waving, puck it in, and Ford boots it. Baylor takes the turn and holds 2-1.
Well, again, as I said, Tony Pena sits up and in. The ball is up and away, so John missed by about 2 feet. And you can see right there, Curt Ford is looking at the runner. He really didn't charge the ball. He does not have a play at home plate. Almost cost him a single into a double.
Brunansky, strike. 2-1 Twins in the bottom of the first. Tomorrow night, if the Twins win a 7th game, Tom Kelly knows he's got Viola. Before the game, Whitey Herzog, and the other day he had talked about maybe Cox on a couple of days rest for 5 innings. Before the game, he said he's contemplating McGrain, who pitched in game 1. And down goes Brunansky on a pitch on the inside corner. So the Twins get a pair, lead 2-1 after 1.
By Don Barrow. Watch Pena way inside. Look where the ball is. Out over the plate. He misses literally by about 2.5 feet. Tudor cannot do that and be successful.
Really a fine point, Jim, because you could see Pena go all the way from inside off the plate to outside off the plate.
Again, this is 3 days rest for Tudor. A lot of people feel that would be beneficial to him in a way because he's a control pitcher. Does not have his control as of yet.
So the Cardinals with Smith and Tudor and Vince Coleman. Ozzie talking about hitting and Tudor talking about or thinking about the bottom of the first inning. Now to the second. Leading things off is McGee. He'll be followed by Pendleton and Ford. Funny, McGee having a good series, but fanning a lot.
Well, Bert Blyleven and the curveball will do it to you, but really, such extremes. And here's a guy that I would call a contact hitter. Doesn't really try to pull the ball. Only 11 home runs on the year.
2-1.
Leads both teams in hitting and strikeouts.
Amazing.
Strange combination, isn't it?
You can see a guy leading a team in home runs and strikeouts, but very rarely would you see somebody lead a team in hitting over the course of a season and in strikeouts.
He just blows the ball right by McGee, this outside high fastball.
Shot toward the middle. Lombardozzi is there to make a nice play and get him. Lombardozzi was over toward the middle and able to make a strong throw to nail McGee. One gone.
Playing exactly where he should, up the middle. You see him really not going that far to his right, but he does know that McGee can run, plants, and fires. He's played an outstanding second base throughout this World Series. Again, defensing the hitter properly is the key to this play.
So one down, and Pendleton is the batter. Terry the DH, and again Pendleton hurt, injured himself in game 7 of the National League Championship Series. Rib muscle. He can bat left-handed. He could not earlier in the series play third. He still can't bat right-handed, but Herzog can use him. He said now a couple of innings in the field if necessary. He can play third, at least for a little while. 2-0. 3-0 now. Straker kept himself out of trouble in Game 3 as he walks Pendleton here. Straker allowed 2 walks in 6 innings in Game 3. And 4 hits. Kurt Ford now, who had the hit to break a scoreless tie in the 6th inning on Thursday. Cardinals going with Ford against right-handed pitching with Oquendo at third. And then when a lefty works, they move Oquendo to the outfield and Lawless playing third with Ford on the bench, and that would figure to be the scenario again tomorrow night if the Twins win today and force a 7th with Viola. Pendleton normally a real good threat to steal, but that rib muscle comes into play here, and he said the one problem he has is when he starts. His first couple of steps. One and 0 on Ford.
We saw him break on that pitch. It didn't seem to bother him. I think a lot of times what a base runner will do, I know when I used to pitch, you could see him break like that. Sometimes when you look over, they're trying to get your cadence down. If you do it again, he may go. You think maybe you don't want to take away the hole, give Ford a chance to hit it through the right side.
It's sharply to Lombardozzi, who is able to keep it in front of him and throw him out to save 1 out. Lombardozzi making sure he got Ford as Pendleton goes to second. So 2 down, and Oquendo is the batter.
Well, hit hard, but again, Lombardozzi showing good range. This is the ball he is thinking of getting the lead runner. Once he knocks it down, he knows he has no choice but at first base. Boy, that's one of those emotional things. You know you want to get the lead runner. Once you don't come up with it cleanly, you better get the sure out.
Now Oquendo with a man at second. 2 down inside. And here's one difference between the DH and no DH. If this was in St. Louis, you'd have the 8th hitter with first base open, Oquendo, and the pitcher coming up. And now you got the number 8 hitter and Pena on deck. Full of the story. And Oquendo and Pena have both done some damage during the series.
Oquendo has never seen snowfall. And early this morning, he was up very early in an attempt. He heard it was going to flurry, and he was up early wanting to see his first snowfall. And the weatherman didn't oblige. Here we are playing indoors, and it may be snowing outside.
Temperature this morning was in the low 30s. It was 41 outside at game time as the Oquendo takes a strike and is still on.
And that is the key to Game 3. Holding runners hitless.
Oquendo's bat has secret weapon on it. It's a special model made up by Louisville Slugger. They sent him 3 with secret weapon on there. You gotta love it.
3-1. Have a look so you can read it. There it is. Secret weapon.
I'm not too sure that weapon's secret anymore.
Yeah, no.
He's used it too much. So is Whitey Herzog. What a job he did for Whitey all season long. Starting at 7 positions and playing 8.
You read so much about players, and then and what I read about Oquendo, he's the first guy at the ballpark. He sits on his stool. He asks Whitey if he's going to play. If he isn't, he runs a couple of miles. And then every time we're here, 5 hours before game time, he's the first player in the Cardinal locker room. Having a lot of fun.
3-2, 2 down. 2-1 Minnesota in the second. Runner goes, and it's hit into right field for a base hit. Pendleton was running, and he scores. And the game is tied. So Pendleton figuring he had third base stolen. Otherwise, in that situation, you'd be crazy to go with 2 out. He just figured they were giving it to him. He would take it. And he also has that rib muscle pull, so maybe he thought he'd take extra advantage as long as they were giving him that much room.
You know what he may be proving? He may be proving to Whitey Herzog that if a defensive switch is necessary, he can indeed throw. I mean, that's one of the biggest surprises of the series, having Terry Pendleton trying to steal third base in a situation that's not a good stolen base situation.
2 out, 2 strikes.
Well, he told Whitey in the training room that he couldn't hit right-handed, but he could field. I don't know if Whitey believed him, but with that kind of jump, he's going to score easily. I think that the pitching coach, Dick Such, went out to talk to Les Straker. He threw O'Kendall 3 straight changeups. Now, we saw that once before with the bases loaded. Danny Cox 3 straight changeups to Randy Bush, the result of double down the right field line. Maybe they want to change the pitching sequence.
So the game tied 2-2 with O'Kendall at first base, 2 down, and Tony Pena at the plate. Pena, who had a very disappointing regular season 2-14, has had a good World Series after a good playoff series. Backhanded by Laudner, and one reason would be the glasses. He started wearing glasses at the end of the regular year. He doesn't wear them when he catches, he said, because he has problems with the mask. The mask and the glasses come off, and during the winter he's going to experiment with contact lenses in winter ball. One ball and 1 strike to count.
To pick up on what Jim just said, the 3 straight changes to O'Kendall, you know, by its very definition, the changeup means you're changing from a different speed. If you throw 3 in a row, the third ceases to be a surprise because you're no longer changing. 3 in a row, the same speed.
Two and 1. 3 in a row. I guess the pitcher's thinking, well, he knows I threw 2, so he can't think I'm going to throw 3, so I'm going to try to outthink him and all of that.
Well, to amplify Timmy's point, he did get fooled. He just didn't get as fooled as much if he had thrown a fastball in there to give him another perspective.
There goes O'Kendall, and it's driven to center field, but right at Puckett for the out. 1-1, 1 hit, 1 left at the end of an inning and a half, a 2-2 tie in Game 6.
I bought this Van Heusen for Michael. I think he's going to have a tough time getting it back.
Van Heusen, for a man to wear and a woman to borrow.
Never before has an antifreeze guaranteed your radiator. Use new Prestone Advanced Formula after Super Flush, and should our protection fail, we'll pay for your radiator repairs. Prestone, the antifreeze that guarantees your radiator.
Shearson Lehman Brothers, where we stand. The extraordinary events in the stock market are as unsettling as they are unprecedented. To help you through this difficult time, all Shearson Lehman Brothers offices will remain open late and all day Saturday. Now, more than ever, talk with us. Shearson Lehman Brothers, minds over money.
Well, here it is. Top of the ninth, 2 out. Kaminsky's at bat.
And here's the pitch. Uh-oh, that ball's going. You can kiss that, baby. Holy cow, it hit the Sproles billboard in right field.
I know that 30-pack is big.
But, Jim, would you look at the size of that billboard?
I know, Bob. That's what Kaminsky was looking at. And look who just got tagged out at second.
The Stroh's 15 and 30-pack. With more cans in every case. What more could you ask for?
This evening, Ken Edwards had a vision of the future. Not of time travel or cities in space, but of his family. His daughter practicing law. His wife heading her own business. Himself retired, writing detective stories. This evening, Ken Edwards had a vision of the future and knew what it would take to get him there. Daddy! Plans for investments and protection from the equitable. We have great plans for you.
Ken Herbeck's been struggling. He faces Tudor today. I asked him what he expects to see from John this afternoon.
Well, I'm sure he's going to throw some curveballs. He likes throwing a lot of curveballs to left-handed hitters, and I know he'll throw a few in there. But you can't sit and look at the curveball because he's sneaking there with the fastball, which he did to me over at their place. But I'm looking for fastballs to hit, and if I can sit back and keep my weight back, I can react to a curveball and you know, hopefully slap it the other way or something.
Kent Hrbek, who struggled through the playoffs and through the series, he's 4 for 17 now. The number 7 hitter, and starts him with a curve. Does Tudor, ball 1.
That's what John said his biggest problem is that he faces 9 right-handers, or excuse me, 8 right-handers, 1 lefty. And he said sometimes he has trouble with his control, and the only person he throws curveballs to are left-handers. So he'd like to see a few more in there. It makes his job a little bit easier. And you can see that Kent does not hit left-handers very well.
Half swing fastball in the count 2-1.
Nor the fastball up. He is a low ball hitter. 34 home runs, 285, one of his best years ever.
That's because Kent's an ex-hockey player. You know, I would imagine that hockey players with that type of swing would be more inclined to hit the ball down. Richie Hebner, another one. John Tudor, also a hockey player.
That's right.
After the 1985 series, as a matter of fact, John Tudor, they were doing a story on him, Sports Illustrated, and he suited up and skated with the St. Louis Blues hockey team.
Yeah. We'll never know about Kirk McCaskill because he plays in the league with the DH.
Right.
But he was the best of the baseball-playing hockey players. High drive to right field. Ford going back, looking up into the ceiling with McGee, and Willie drops the ball. Picked up by Ford, and Hrbek stops at second. And had Hrbek been going all out, he would have wound up at third. But he knew it wasn't going out, and he went into a trot.
Right. Well, we talked about in game 1 and 2, you can't see the ball sometimes coming off the bat. Right here, McGee knows that Ford doesn't see the ball. He's calling for it, but look at his eyes. You think he sees it? I don't think McGee did. And what they say is that you can't see it. You can't look at the other outfielder because if you do, you lose the ball and you can't pick it up. And it looked like it was evident there.
I'll tell you, that play affected 2 senses, sight and hearing.
It's a very important point because the Cardinals are saying the biggest problem is hearing the other guy. So Hrbek at second will get the scoring. Laudner takes low, ball 1, 1-0. It is an error charged to Willie McGee. Hrbek at second, could have been at third.
Should have been at third.
Yep.
Exactly.
Laudner at the plate. And will it be big? Well, you don't know. Of course, with Laudner at the plate, let's say it's a fly ball here for an out. Might have scored Hrbek. Strike. 1-1. Third Ford. Cardinals playing here, of course, the first 2 games last week and had a chance to work out on Thursday and Friday of last week, so they were a little more comfortable with the ceiling. But you'd never know it. Pick-off play, nail him. Oh, boy. You talk about wasting an opportunity. Hrbek at second instead of third, and then he gets picked off.
And that is one reason why he may have gotten a bigger lead. He knows he should have been at third. Does not run that well. He's put on a little bit of weight over the last couple of years trying to get a bigger jump. And the second baseman, Tommy Hers, his job is to try to put pickoff plays on to keep him closer. In this case, they pick him off. Nowhere to go with nobody out.
Yeah, with 2 outs, that's exactly right, Jim. With 2 outs, you could understand that pickoff play. Not with nobody out, because you can advance to third on an infield out or a long fly ball.
There's a little squibber. Tudor has it and throws him out. And that's out number 2. 2 out, bases empty in the bottom of the second inning. A 2-2 tie. And Steve Lombardozzi comes up. Rourke and Herzog. And Tom Kelly with Laudner sitting down next to him.
The one thing on fly balls, the one thing Willie McGee said, the really unusual thing is that normally you can see the ball go up, you can look around where everybody is, the infielders, your fellow outfielders, but you can't do it here. And that's the one thing you can't get used to. get used to the ball off the bat, you get used to the ball coming down, but it's just so contrary to what you do as a normal outfielder. I think it's one of the big reasons it's so difficult to play the outfield, especially for a visiting outfielder.
That's wrapped into right center for a base hit. And what's Herbeck picking on the bench right now? Two-out single, and Gladden comes up. He tripled in the first, inside first base.
And we're not sitting here trying to indict Ken Herbeck, but he did make 2 base running mistakes. Didn't hustle, then gets picked off. But the key to beating the Cardinals is to get way ahead. 1 run, they have the favorite, and they're definitely favorites.
Gladden tries to bunt his way on, and it's a foul ball.
They have showed demonstrably over the last 3 games that anytime they want to run, they can run. And we saw on 10-1, 8-4, they're not going to run. And if they do, it doesn't really make any difference. So every run is valuable.
2-2 tie in the bottom of the second inning, game 6 of the World Series. Cardinals leading 3 games to 2. Lombardozzi at first base. 2 down. 1-1. Herbeck, who had gone up the ramp, now comes back. And Gladden strokes one toward the middle by even Ozzie Smith. Couldn't get that one. And around to third goes Lombardozzi.
Well, Dan Gladden clearly has taken a different approach with John Tudor. He tripled his first at bat going the other way, and you can really see that front shoulder with that swing. Change up away, that's the only way you can hit that pitch, is keeping that front shoulder in there. The ball appeared to go under Ozzie's glove, but if he comes up with that, I don't believe he has a play on it anyway. Now,
Gagne grounded out in the first inning. And he grounds one down to Smith, and they get the force. And so the Twins really waste an opportunity in the second. 2-2 as we go to the third, back after this from your local station.
Magazine show, A Current Affair.
Third inning at the Metrodome in Minneapolis. Al Michaels with Jim Palmer and Tim McCarver. Game 6 of the World Series. Game 7 if the Twins win. Tomorrow night it would start at 8 Eastern, 5 o'clock on the West Coast. And the Cardinals will send to the mound either Danny Cox or Joe McGrain. Whitey Herzog unsure. It'll probably be a committee tomorrow night. And Minnesota with Frank Viola. We know that. Third inning, Coleman, Smith, and Herr coming up. Coleman struck out in the first. So Les Straker, who gave Kelly 6 good innings the other night, has been touched for a run tonight or today in each of the first 2. And he starts with Coleman here in the third. 0-1 on Vince, who we told you before came to the park with a touch of the flu today. And 1.
Really, that's the only negative that I can see in looking at Coleman's year. He struck out 126 times. And something we talked about, they like him to take. They'll take many times until he has 2 strikes. And when he becomes a better contact hitter, it's going to be unbelievable. They're never, I mean, that's when he's going to steal the 200 bases that he talks about.
1-2 to him. It's slowly to Lombardozzi, has to hurry and gets it. One down in the third, and Ozzie Smith coming to the plate. Reggie Jackson interviewed Kelly the other night, and he asked him, what would you do if Straker gives you another 6? He said he's coming out. Another look here at the play by Lombardozzi. And of course it's Kelly who knows his club, and Dick Such, the pitching coach.
Well, he averaged about 5 1/3 innings on the year. He gives them 6 shutout innings. You have your bullpen, Berenger 8-1, Reardon with 31 saves, and they all second-guess the move. Incredible.
Well, you'll see some interesting figures that we have. 2-0 the count about Straker. There he is in the regular year, innings 1 through 6. Look at it on the far right. In addition to the ERA, 2.42 the opponents hit. From the 7th on, they hit .420.
Only 52 at bats because he didn't go that far into the 7th, but still revealing enough to show how he weakens after the 7th inning. And Tom Kelly said clearly it was mental as far as he was concerned.
2-0 pitch is hit in the air to right field and deep, and back goes Brunansky and makes the catch. And for Ozzie, that's a real poke. He did not homer this season.
And has only 1 home run left-handed in his major league career. That was in the 1985 championship series against the Dodgers off Tom Niedenfuhr to win a ball game. It was game 5 in St. Louis after over 3,100 at bats without a home run from the left side.
Here's Tommy Herr now in the first inning. Tommy with 2 out drilled one into the upper deck, and that got the Cardinals off and running, made it 1-0. Twins got 2 in the bottom of the first. Cardinals tied it in the second. Strike.
Well, you get an idea why it's so difficult to pitch here. In Busch Stadium, you would literally have come in on Ozzie Smith's ball. This is the kind of park where the pitching coach will tell you, get ahead, change speeds, and use all your pitches. And that's what Straker did to her. The slider got it in the middle of the plate, and he jerked it. Busch Stadium, you could throw Tommy Herr fastballs away. It's such a big ballpark that you know he might get his hits, but he's not going to hurt you with a home run. Here, you change speeds a little bit more, you're more susceptible to long balls.
2 out, bases empty, 3rd inning, a 2-2 tie. Got him. And at the end of 2.5, Cards 2, Twins 2.
Dwayne Eddy salutes the people who work with today's Chevy truck.
Listen to the heartbeat of America. The heartbeat of America. That's today's Chevy truck.
We're not a company, but outstanding people come to us every day. People who want to make a contribution to a team and do work that really counts. People eager to see new places, do the unusual, and find the unusual. People who become your friends for life. People just like you. We're not a company. We're your country. We're the Navy, the Air Force, the Marines, the Army. We're the armed forces. It's a great place to start.
A sage once said that there is opportunity in every calamity. We believe the economic picture is much better than the recent stock market decline would suggest. Investors willing to assume the risk might now look for opportunities in stocks of good companies. More conservative investors might consider high-quality bonds. A sudden market decline can be the best time to look for value with professional guidance. At Merrill Lynch, we're ready to help.
Going up to the plate. Now he's walking away from the plate. He's standing around. They're all standing around. Wait, he's adjusting his hat. He's taking mud off of his shoe. Now they're standing around some more. And yes, he spits. Oh my goodness, A woman has jumped out of the crowd. She's throwing her arms around the batter. She's throwing him to the ground. She's throwing her body across. She's ripping his uniform out. She's going crazy.
30-something, Tuesday, following moonlighting.
I love baseball.
Yesterday at the airport, we took a decibel meter out there, and within 100 feet of the runway, it registered 102 decibels. That was yesterday at Minneapolis-St. Paul Airport. And here is a live decibel meter inside the Metrodome. And the crowd not really doing very much right now, only in the 90s on the D meter. But they'll get it up there.
Yeah, don't tell them about it.
Yeah. Bottom of the third inning, Kirby Puckett to lead off. Game tied 2-2. And Puckett spins it foul off the end of the bat, and the count is 0-1.
I'll tell you, Al, they have indoor track records. Maybe they should have indoor home run records. A major league record with 21 indoor home runs this season. And he didn't hit them all here. He had 18 here, 3 in the Kingdome in Seattle. Kirby Puckett led the Twins, and I beg your pardon, Ken Herbeck led the Twins with home runs in this ballpark with 20. A new indoor record, like track.
Puckett fouls it away, and in a couple of years, you'll have the hybrid ballpark in Toronto, because they'll have the retractable roof where you'll be able to hit them both inside and out, depending on the weather.
Montreal also.
Well, Montreal totally, inside right now, completely enclosed, and Houston, of course, with the non-retractable roof. Puckett fouling it away. Still 0-2.
Hurt my feeling. You're not talking about all those indoor parks where pitchers can get batters out in. I mean, just home runs. I mean, be nervous. Well, what they've done to Puckett, and he's allowed him to do it, and he's gotten hit. We saw the run-scoring single the last time. They pitched him inside, and they've taken away his power. It's like you wanted to pitch to Mark McGwire, who hit 49 home runs. Do you want him to single or homer? You want him to single, and that's what they've done to Puckett. Stayed away, not throwing a lot of breaking balls, stayed in on him. And when he does get his hits, they've been singles and that one looping triple.
Inside, and the count 1-2 on Puckett. He'll be followed by Gaetti and Naylor. Bottom of the third, game tied 2-2. Line to center field, base hit. Puckett is 2 for 2.
Well, the book on him is it doesn't matter if it's a strike or a ball when he's hot. You can see the decibel meter. That's all it takes is a couple of hits by Kirby. Take another look at where this ball is. Again, inside, but up. And when Kirby's hot, it doesn't matter if it's off the plate. You do limit the home run, but he gets the base hit.
All good hitters get jammed because all good hitters go into the ball. Tough to jam a poor hitter.
Gaetti now. Puckett, who had 12 steals during the regular season, held on by Andreessen. Gaetti, the MVP of the American League Championship Series. Takes away 1-0.
What a variety of pitches that he's hit. We saw him hit the hanging slider for a home run. Here we saw the triple that McGee made a great effort on a fastball 97 miles per hour from Todd Burrell, hit it 414 feet. The only pitch he is not really consistently hit in the series is the ball down in the strike zone, and that's where Tudor liked to be.
2-0.
Tudor is not a sinker ball pitcher. He is a low ball pitcher. He was talking about that. He said, everybody thinks I throw a sinker. He said, all I do is hold the ball with the seam, run it away from the right-handers, throw the changeup, and then when I want to come in on him, throw it across the seams and ride it up and in. That's a cross-the-seam grip. Now, that's a grip he can change. We can't see that because he's inside the glove.
In the air to deep right field, and Ford goes back and has room and makes the catch at the edge of the warning track as Puckett retreats. So one long out, one gone in the third inning, and Don Baylor comes to the plate. He singled in the first.
I'll tell you, the impressive thing about this Twins lineup is how they've approached Tudor the second time around. Gladden with the triple down the right field line. Only Puckett, of all the hits, they have 6 hits, only Puckett has pulled the ball. Everybody else has gone the other way, including Baylor, his first at bat.
Pops it up. Pena having trouble with it. Tony coming back and makes the catch.
Well, he did not see that ball when it went off the bat. Somehow he saw it on the way down and made the out.
I think he even lost it partially on the way down. He kind of gave a shrug there, Jim.
I think that's one of the strangest reactions I've ever seen.
Well, that's a little late. I believe he sees it right now, but a little bit earlier, he's just looking, knew it was behind him, but didn't know where.
I think he may have lost it twice.
Yeah.
Going up and somewhere when it comes down. Let's look at it one more time.
Right
now
there, there he sees it.
Now watch this.
Yeah, it's like he loses it again, sure.
Yeah. It's almost a shrug.
Yeah. Great shot.
That was terrific.
2 down. And Puckett goes. He gets a big break, and there's no throw. Uncontested steal.
Well, that's what we were talking about. A lot of times you'll run on the left-hander's first move. Now, if he goes immediately, see, he just goes on the move. And Tudor's picked off 11 runners last year, 5 this year, so he has a good move. But he chose to really go to home plate. Puckett took a gamble, and it worked out.
Brunansky with a count 1-0. And first base open. And John can figure who would rather work to here. Brunansky, the right-handed batter, and he's got Herbeck, the left-hand batter, on deck.
And Herbeck is 0 for 14 against left-handers in postseason play and hit .225 against them this year. I'm a little surprised they're pitching to Brunansky here.
Well, they're just barely pitching to him.
They may walk him now.
Yeah, 3-0. Tudor with only 2 2/3 innings gone. Already a gross.
Well, this is something with a veteran pitcher. You know he'll pitch around him. If it's a rookie, Niedenfuhr with first base open with Clark up in the 85.
I want to see if you're listening. 100 shy of a gross. And outside, ball 4. Had he thrown a gross, he'd have been back in the clubhouse.
Well, again, this is a situation where he's trying to make a perfect pitch. I don't really think he wants to pitch to him, and it's obvious. He misses by, what, 2 feet after missing by 3 feet? The only problem with this, if Herbeck, and over the year, as Timmy said, did not hit that well average-wise of the 34 home runs, only 6 against left-handed hitters. But if you make a mistake, it's 5-2.
2 on, 2 out. 2-2 tie. Bottom of the 3rd inning. Herbeck, 1-0.
There are mistakes that are made with the wrong approach. There are mistakes that are made with the right approach. If you take the right approach enough, and Whitey Herzog does that, you'll make fewer mistakes.
I do agree with you wholeheartedly over 162 games, but I'll tell you what, tell Tudor that if he hangs a curveball or a fastball here and Herbeck hits it in the upper deck.
Well, you can't have that built in, though. If you've got something like that built in, then you're really going to make a mistake. You got to go at it with full conviction, and that's what Herzog and really Tudor does the same thing.
Not only is Tudor throwing a lot of pitches, but remember, he's pitching on 3 days rest.
Again, the checkpoint on John Tudor is glove to the knee, and he's there, but again, you got to understand who's up. 34 home runs. Crowd gets louder.
55,000 people.
Yes.
Yep, that's more than a 727. We do. Still in place is the roof, but it's wobbling. Herbeck coming up. Strike.
A curveball, 3-0. I don't believe it. You talk about having confidence in your curveball after 7 straight balls.
Bob Forsch in the Cardinal bullpen. Game tie, 2-2, 2 out, 2 on, and 3-1 on Herbeck. High fly ball to left center field, and Tudor's going to work out of it if Coleman can keep his eye on it, and he does. No runs a hit. They leave 2 to the 4th. We go a 2-2 tie. This ABC Sports exclusive is being brought to you by Merrill Lynch. Dave Phillips, the first base umpire, we understand, has confirmed that the ball that Pena caught hit that speaker on the way down. Remember how odd the reaction was with Pena? It must have grazed the speaker, and it grazed it to the point where it probably did not affect very much the trajectory of the ball as Dreesen drills one to right field, and Brunansky will have to play it off the canvas. His throw into second is offline. A double for Dreesen to start the 4th inning.
A very similar pitch that Tommy Herr hit for a home run. It's a high slider. Dreesen to double off the hefty bags in the second game, does it again. And the only thing left is Brunansky playing it so well off the fence, something he's done all year. Strong throw to second, but Dreesen in easily. See Lombardozzi, the cutoff man, getting out of the way. Not a good pitch, but I believe, Timmy, 1-0, he thought it might fool him, and it didn't.
Willie McGee now, who grounded out in the second inning. First time the Cards have had the leadoff man on, and McGee fouls it away, 0-1. The ruling, by the way, on a ball such as that is that if it hits the speaker, it is in play. And remember Pena's reaction after he had caught the ball. Huh. Yeah. How about that? I stayed with it.
Of course, it doesn't take much to get him to smile.
No, you're right. And that's drilled into center field for a base hit. Dreesen, after hesitating, is being held at third. And down to second as the throw goes over the head of the cutoff man, Gaetti, goes McGee. Dreesen on a line shot through the middle was hesitating, and that cost him any chance to score. And then when Puckett misses Gaetti, it allows McGee to go to second. Second and third, and nobody out.
I can understand Dreesen right there. You're watching the line drive. The shortstop's behind you. There's nobody out. No hurry to go home, but really a hurry as far as Kirby Puckett's concerned to hit the cutoff man, and he fails to do that. Willie McGee, very alert base running.
And you talk about a hurry. It is Juan Berenguer going to the bullpen for Minnesota, and he will get some company as well in the person of Dan Schatzeder. This is it for the Twins. There is no tomorrow, so they'll go to the pen early if needed. Pendleton swinging at a change, 0-1.
What's so surprising about that play by Kirby Puckett is you don't see it during the regular season. Nobody out, balls hit hard. You know that Dreesen, you don't assume that Dreesen's going to stop at third, but you just come up, hit off the cutoff man, keep a double play in order, keep the big inning from being a possibility.
Infield is back, and it's grounded to the right side, and it's a foul ball. So still 0-2. Dreesen going back to third, and McGee the runner at second with nobody out in the 4th inning. The game tied 2-2.
It's more understandable for an outfielder to miss a cutoff man with 2 outs than with nobody out. With 2 outs, Dreesen wouldn't have been concerned with the line drive, probably would have scored, and you're taking a legitimate shot at getting him at home. So an outfielder like the base runner has to take into account how many outs there are.
0-2 the count on Pendleton. 1-2.
He led the Cardinals in that department, as a matter of fact.
Shatters his bat, or at least splinters it, and he'll get a new one with a count 1 ball and 2 strikes.
That's caused from the end of the bat being poured out. You see that happen when a hitter hits the ball off the end of the bat.
And one of the reasons he hit the ball off the end of the bat is what we talked about earlier, the 3 changes to Oquendo. This time he started him with a changeup, threw a fastball by him, missed with a slider, came back with a changeup. A little bit difference in the speeds of the pitches. You have him out in front. You don't get the out, but you should get him at least to go back and get a new bat. But you've used different speeds, and you set up pretty now. You can throw him just about anything you want, especially hard stuff on the inside part of the plate.
1-2 pitch. A little chopper to the right side. It's going to score a run, and the flip back to Straker. Too late. Everybody's safe. So the Cards lead and have runners at first and third and nobody out.
We talked about the veteran John Tudor not pitching that well, and the rookie Les Straker makes a rookie mistake, something that shouldn't happen. He should go directly to first. He doesn't. Hesitates. And Pendleton with the rib still beats him. Very simple, something you work on every day in spring training.
Yeah, there are 2 ways a pitcher covers the bag, and one way is to act like a first baseman. And that should have been the time that Straker gets to the bag and then stretches even like a first baseman.
What you try to do, you try to gauge how fast the runner is. And when you do, and Pendleton can run, you get to first base as quickly as you can. Take the most direct route.
Tom Kelly now goes to the mound. The lefty Schatzeder, the righty Berenguer. It scored as an infield single for Pendleton. And so the Twins, after squandering opportunities in the second and in the third, and with the game tied, see the Cardinals get a run here in the 3rd inning to take the lead, and the makings of a big inning, and he's going to go to the bullpen. And the call goes out for Dan Schatzeder, the lefty, to come in the 4th inning of Game 6. The Cards are ahead.
What about computers?
In the Army.
You were in the Army, too?
Qualify for the GI Bill and the Army College Fund, and you can earn over $25,000 for college.
What you do in the Army?
Airborne.
You used to jump out of airplanes?
Both of these stop the symptoms of a cold. But 12-hour contact works twice as long as Actifed tablets. So if you're sneezing, congested, or have a runny nose, which would you rather take? Until there's a cure, there's contact.
Last time the Cards were in the World Series, in Game 6, they had a 1-0 lead in the 9th inning, and then this grounder starting the inning. Orta called safe by Don Denkinger on the call at first base. The ensuing argument with Whitey Herzog to no avail, of course. That game ended with Dane Orge singling the drive in 2 to win the game, square the series, and that World Series ended with Brett Saberhagen throwing a shutout in Game 7 and Kansas City winning the series. But that's history, and now the present with the Cardinals leading and Jim Lindemann batting for Kurt Ford with Schatzeder working. 3-2, Cardinals on top, still nobody out in the inning with McGee at third and Pendleton at first. And Jim Lindemann with Ford on the bench now. The left-hand batter seated as Schatzeder comes in to face Lindemann.
This is a situation, if you're Tom Kelly, you're trying to cut your losses. Double play man at the plate. If you can induce him to hit a ground ball at somebody, you'll give up the run to get out of the inning and stay away from a real big inning. A lot of time to go. Castro pitched in both game 4 and 5. Did not have a very good year. The record belies really how poorly he pitched. He said he doesn't really know why, but 64 hits in only 43 innings.
One and two.
It's a funny situation for a double play ball. Most double play balls are balls that are away. Lindemann's weakness, however, is inside.
One-two pitch to Lindemann. Off the hands and a little pop-up, and Gaetti is there with Gagne, and it's Gaetti making the catch, and the runners hold as Gary runs the ball back into the infield. A big out. A real big out.
And where did he go? Right where Tim said. About belt high on, look, about 4 or 5 inches off the plate. Of course, that's the key to getting ahead. If you get ahead, you have an option. McGee tags. Gaetti knows he's going to catch it and then runs it back into the infield.
So now Oquendo comes up. Remember, Oquendo, a switch hitter. He hit .277 right-handed. He hit .294 left-handed. One little oddity, though, despite fewer at-bats right-handed, he hit into 4 double plays from this side and only 2 the other way. And the infield at double play depth. And there's always the possibility of the squeeze.
If you're the runner at third base on the squeeze play, you don't want to break too soon. If you break too soon, you give it away, and the pitcher and catcher do one of 2 things. They either pitch out or knock the hitter down, depending on which your philosophy is. So it's very important. Eddie Stanky used to say that if you're the runner on third squeeze situation and it's on, take 1 step back before that'll prevent you from leaving too soon.
Oquendo takes a strike. Another thing about Oquendo, we mentioned he's prone to hitting the more double plays this way, but on the other side of that same coin, he hit 4 sacrifice flies this year, all of them right-handed.
And the 2 home runs are from the right side, so the chance of hitting a fly ball are better, and he's looking for a pitch up in the strike zone.
And he hits a high fly ball to right field, and McGee tags. Brunansky on the run makes the catch, and Brunansky with an off-balance throw way off the mark, and the Cardinals get another run, and down to second goes Pendleton. So Oquendo, who hit all 4 of his sac flies right-handed, hits 1 here, and the Cardinals are on top by 2. And a tough play for Brunansky because he's going the other way. It would have been a much easier play for a left-handed thrower.
Oh, with 2 out, well, 2 outs, he's going to catch that ball because it's fair. But right now, he does not know. I mean, he has to know that he doesn't have a play. And by trying to desperately throw the runner out, he allows another runner to go into scoring position, Terry Pendleton, and just gives the Cardinals another chance to add a run.
You remember Game 3 of the American League Championship Series? Brunansky had a similar play, but he was set down the right field line, and Tony Kubek and Bob Costas properly alluded to the fact that Brunansky could have been in foul territory. However, the replay did show that he was in fair territory.
Tony Pena now looks at a strike on the outer half, 0-1. 4-2 St. Louis in the 4th inning. 2 down. Pendleton at second. Schatzeder with the Phillies and the Expos and the Giants, and that's why a lot of the Cardinals have experience having faced him. And 1. Typical Pena rip, and the count 1-2.
And typical smile. It appears that he is really seeing the ball so much better than he did during the season. Take a look for yourself. Notorious bad ball hitter. That ball's pretty much in the middle of the plate, but a little bit out of the strike zone. And if he's going to hit a home run, I'm not sure if it's going to be on that ball. I would think he'd like the ball down better, but the ball he's going to drive to right field, and has done it all the time, has been that ball out over the plate.
Going to third on a pitch inside, and the throw not in time. Terry Pendleton. Terry Pendleton, he of the pulled muscle, legs out a hit, steals a base, and has already scored a run.
The last time he was on second base, the count 3-2, Oquendo the batter, and he was running on that play. So I really think he's trying to deliver a message to Whitey Herzog. If this game goes to 7, he's starting tomorrow. Maybe.
2-2 missing, and Pena goes to first. The board had it 2-2. Pena is now being called back. He thought it was ball 4. It's only ball 3. And he enjoys a laugh with Terry Tatum. Do you know the other night, do you remember when Pena looked like he was hurt in Game 5? He was at first base, he'd reached first base, and he reached for his hamstring, and he was flexing his foot. He wasn't hurt at all. He was trying to decoy the Twins into thinking he was hurt. He really wanted to steal on the next pitch. What he decoyed was Whitey. Whitey took him out for a pinch runner.
Lance Johnson, who went in and stole second.
How great was that? Foul away again, 3-2. I've never heard of that happening before.
Nor have I.
Three and 2 the count. 2 down. Check swing, ball 4. No swing, says Dave Phillips. And so the Cardinals get Coleman to the plate. Runners at first and third, 2 down, and Vince 0 for 2.
Well, another run on third base. You don't want to give him a pitch that you've already seen that he had good swings at, and that's the fastball, so you hook him. But it turns out to be ball 4.
Very close. I think Dave Phillips made the right call. He called it quickly, and that way there's no argument. Right or wrong, at least you're quick about it.
Coleman hitting right-handed for the first time today. He hit .268 right-handed this year, and there he is in postseason this year, and what a swing.
Both he and Ozzie Smith are hitless right-handed in the World Series.
1-1.
That's what you have to do when you're trailing. Sometimes you have to take that gamble. Who do you want to face? And the numbers support what Dan Chester is doing.
Strike 2, 1-2.
It's a good way to have Coleman not leading off the next inning if you get him out.
2 on, 2 out, 4-2 Cardinals, 4th inning. Pendleton at third, Pena at first. Pena goes, and it's fouled away.
I know what you're thinking. It was suggested to me this past summer that with Vince Coleman, one of the ways to stop him from running in the National League, of course there's no DH, is that with 2 outs and nobody on, walk the pitcher, pitch to Coleman, clog up the bases, thereby never allowing him to steal second base.
Suggested to you by whom?
By more than one person.
Pena goes again, and Coleman reaches for it, fouls it back.
None of whom I agree with.
Well, that's one of the great lines by the columnist Jim Murray back in 1966. We went out to L.A. and they said, as long as you keep the Dodgers off the base, especially Maury Wills, you can win. So McNally walked the bases loaded, and that's what Jim Maury said. He stopped their running attack cold. He walked the bases loaded. Brought in Drabowski. He struck out 11 in 5 2/3 inning, and we were off and running.
Pendleton at third. And Pena, who's been off and running on the last 2 pitches, at first. One-two to Coleman. High drive to center field. Puckett going all the way back to the track and makes the catch. But they get 2 to the Cards to lead by 2 after 3 1/2.